This is a talk by me. My name is Patroklos Papapetrou. Too many P's, right? Try to pronounce it if you can. I'm Greek, okay? How many of you have been in Greece? Oh, come on, guys. It's a nice country, sun. Terrorists don't give a shit about us, so it's quite safe. Okay, you should come at some point. So I call myself a software gardener, and I would say I'm a maniac about code quality. I will not discuss about code quality today, but maybe another day. But we'll focus on gardening. However, I can't do the talk by myself, so I invited some friends to help me. Okay, so we're gonna have some minions all around the place. Why? Because these guys can do everything. It can be everything like us. Okay, we can do programming, we can do support, we can talk to customers, we can write requirements, we can do DevOps. Okay, we can do everything and we can wear all kinds of hats when it has to do with programming. So I have to warn you. Okay, I have given this talk, I don't know, 3-4 times in different conferences, and to be honest, I received very different feedback, which is fine. Okay, like we'll discuss later, I accept criticism. Okay, of course when it's constructive. So I have received feedback on the two corners. So some of you might love it, like this guy that told me that he will change his title to software gardener. And there's another guy that told me that, hey, you are damaging the area when you call people like gardeners and not engineers. Okay. Well, I would love to hear your feedback later, or tweet it, or post it, or whatever you want. But it's going to be a very contradictory discussion about engineering. So I've got inspired by this talk, not talk, by this blog post by Chris Eitinson back to 2011. So what this guy said is that we're not engineers, we're not building any skyscrapers, bridges. Okay, we are creating software, and that's why we are growing gardens. So you are a software gardener. If you don't like the term gardening or gardener, you can consider yourself as a farmer. Okay, it's similar. Okay, but I only actually they follow the same principles. Okay, the only reason why I prefer gardener instead of farmer is because when you grow gardens, you care about how they look, right? That's the user interface. Instead, when you are growing potatoes or, I don't know, apples or oranges, you don't care, okay? You just want to sell them and you move on. So that's why I prefer gardening instead of farmer, but you can use those terms equally. So let's see what is software engineering. So how many of you are developers in this room? Okay, great, all of you. How many of you are engineers, software engineers in this room? Oh, come on. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Okay, good, that's good. So how many of you are gardeners, software gardeners? Cool, okay. I will ask the same question at the end of this talk. Anyway, I was trying to find what software engineering means, so I brought here two definitions. This was presented in the Fundamentals of Software Engineering. That's a book, which is a pretty nice book. So what it says that engineering in software has been used to describe building of software systems which are so huge or so complex that are built by a team or teams of engineers. Really? So large or so complex? So that is only engineering? I mean, our goal is not to create complex systems and not to create large systems. We are talking all the day about microservices, right? So engineering is about creating large and then complex systems? Probably not. So I wouldn't agree with this definition. Another one by IEEE, okay, says that software engineering is more or less applying the principles of engineering to software development. So those that raised your hands that you are engineers, do you know what are the principles of engineering? Okay. Well, sorry? Okay. Just name a few. It's maintainability, testability, internal integrity, ethics, stuff like that. They might look very familiar to you, like maintainability. Well, that's one of the key problems of our software industry. However, maintainability in engineering means that, hey, you are going to build a bridge today and it's going to last for 15 years, okay? You're not going to change it at all. In software, this doesn't mean maintainability. Maintainability means that, hey, you build something today and tomorrow you can maintain, change it, improve it, add more stuff. So that's completely different. Testability also has a very different meaning. In engineering in general, you test upfront. Okay, you are do testing in some mock-ups or some designs, and you do also some testing, and that's all. You don't test a bridge every day. Okay, in engineering, you test all day, every hour, every day. So it's something that runs all the time. So if you see that, hey, okay, the engineering principles can be applied to software. However, they have different meanings and different terms. As you see, I'm not against the term of engineering. I'm against the way that we are using engineering and the whole idea in development. And if you follow these practices, then you will not go anywhere. So these are some ideas that come from engineering. We have architects, engineers, upfront plans, static things, design that never changes. I mean, we've heard a lot of talks today that this is not development, okay? Everything changes, everything is not static. So more and more, I think that we have less in common with engineering folks. So that's a key point. I will pop up some key points during my talk. So I think that software engineer is the most inaccurate job description ever. And to be honest, I was using this term for years. Why? Because I've been told to, okay? My bachelor was systems and applications engineering, okay? My master's was software engineering and telecommunications. If you take a look at the job listings, half of them are about engineers. Ruby engineer, full stack engineer, Node.js engineer, Java engineer, all of us are engineers. So I've been told that, hey, engineering is, you're not a developer, you are an engineer. You have more prestige when you use the term engineering, okay? So I think now today that I have stopped using this one, okay? I'm using different terms like you saw. And just to try to convince you even more, what is the most commonly used term in software development? Which word you hear and you say almost every day and probably many times a day? Can you guess? Sorry? Well, not agile. What's up? Well, not really. Maybe that's a very bug, okay? Everyone talks about bugs. Customers, managers, developers, testers. Hey, I found 10 bugs today, and it's my best day. So bug is the most commonly used word. And what does bug mean in reality? Yeah, where it comes from? Okay, you can leave now. Okay, that's all. Anyway, bug, I mean, really, it's something that it's bad and it comes from gardening, flowers, trees, or farming or whatever. So, let me tell you a little story about a young developer, me, 15 or I don't know how many years ago. I was really happy, I had my first job and I had only one goal, to be the fastest and, the fastest code monkey. I was coding all day, nothing stopped me. I wanted to say every day, hey, I have implemented those tasks, those new features. We were working in silos, okay, isolated. We owned our own code. Nobody could touch my code, okay? And at that time, it was very acceptable to have bugs, okay? And it goes, okay, the customer will call me and tell me, hey, you have these bugs, okay, and I will fix them. There was no testing, okay? We were just testing our own features, and that's all. I was really happy because that was my life. Well, today, that changed a lot. However, what actually shocked me was that one day, one of our senior developers, yeah, we had senior at the time, came to my office, okay, and started looking at my code, okay. So she started talking about duplications. Yeah, that was her face. I still remember her. Duplications, about how bad I was naming my methods or classes. I don't even want to tell you which tool I was using that age. You probably don't know it. So she was telling me about duplication, about naming conventions and stuff like that. She was trying to add a new feature to my code, and I assumed that she was so frustrated. Okay. So in the beginning, when I saw her that she was coming to my office, okay, that's the biggest time of my life. I'm gonna show and explain my perfect code. And of course, nothing happened from that. So that was a shock to me, okay? It was the first time that I realized that I wasn't writing good, clean, and maintainable code. However, I kept doing the same thing, but I realized that I need to change something, but it took me more years to do that. So what was wrong with me? Okay, I was feeling great because I was writing perfect code and everything was so bad. So the problem was I didn't care. Like I told you, I had only one goal: to be the fastest code monkey, and I didn't care about anything about who will use the system, okay, about the customers, how will use it, who will maintain the code later, okay, or how the code or the feature I was implementing will be integrated and interact with additions later in the system. I didn't care. I was just taking the requirements. I was writing the code, and I was moving to the next one. Okay, no technical details, stuff like that. So I didn't care about the code. Now, gardening. Well, you probably say, okay, what does this guy tell us? We know that stuff, okay? It's more or less what we know. Well, why do we need this analogy, another metaphor, okay? Do you know how many metaphors exist for development? More than 10 or 12, okay? Software development is like it's an art. It's like theater. It's a science. It's mathematics. It's like surgery. Recently, I heard that term. So there are so many metaphors and analogies. So why do we need one more? We don't. We don't need it. You cannot use it. What I want to explain through this analogy is the mindset and how we should perceive software development. You can follow the things that we discuss without using the term gardener or farmer. However, I try to gather all these ideas in a single page. Okay, you can visit. I will upload the slides and share them with my Twitter handle later on. Just to get an idea about the manifesto. That's not the complete one, so it is just to get you excited to visit my page and get some page hits, okay? But you can see some of these ideas. So, for instance, one of the key points of it's that we constantly mentor young developers, okay? And we treat customers as the people that we will walk in our garden, okay? Because they want to see it and smell the garden and then feel it, live with it, and many more. You can take a look about this manifesto. Now, many people ask me, okay, what you describe is actually like some agile practices. So what's different about agile? Why would you need another term? Well, it's not something else. If you think nowadays we hear more about agile processes, agile methodologies, rather than the agile practices, okay? I'm doing Scrum, I'm doing XP, I'm doing Lean, I'm doing Kanban, but nobody tells or actually follows the real practices. I'm doing test-driven development, I'm doing continuous delivery, I'm getting early feedback, I'm doing frequent demos to customers, okay? We are mostly focused on the processes rather than the practices, okay? So the agile movement didn't mention anything about maintainable code, clean code, maintainability. It was actually meant behind the scenes. Okay, so what I think is that if you're already doing agile, okay, you can be an excellent software gardener because you already, at least, you should have already the mindset to follow these practices and show your passion about development. If you don't, if you are not following any agile methodology, or if you are using, I don't know, a waterfall, if anybody is using that, you can still be a very brilliant gardener, but it's very likely that in an environment it will be much easier to reach the perfection. Another question that I always get is, okay, so what about software as a craft? Okay, and I don't know if Sandro is here. It has a keynote 2 hours later. Well, craft is fine. I completely agree with all the things that craftsmanship shares and claims. However, my only, let's say, objection is craft is an object. Okay, you can use the perfect materials, the highest quality materials. Okay, but it's an object. You can create it and that's all. However, I prefer seeing software something like alive, something organic, but that lives, breathes, which is true. Okay, every day our software changes, every hour, actually. So we need to be prepared to interact with the software every day, okay, and we need to be prepared to improve it all the time. So that's my only objection about craft, which is something, but I completely agree, and I'm following all these ideas and practices suggested by craftsmanship. Now, why this particular analogy? And let me briefly give you some ideas and some, real examples about parallelism. First of all, evolving design. I think we had a great talk about Dmitry about evolving architecture. I'm using a more generic term, evolving design, and evolving actually software. Let me explain that. Well, like gardeners, you don't just you don't just plant some seeds today and you expect to see them blossom in 1 hour, okay? So this practical means that you do some work today and your system and this feature, in order to be, you can create a proof of concept, and then you can create, an MVP, the most, valuable product. But it takes time for your product, your system, to be mature. It's normal that many new products, are labeling their version, to alpha or beta for a long time, or 0.1, because they wait to get their system matured. Okay, then this takes time. So it's like planting some seeds, and not only that, sometimes things are not going as expected. So some flowers don't grow well because they have been over or under irrigated, and so you have to be very patient. You have to take care, and that's the idea of doing some refactoring, which is the next key concept. Continuous refactoring, but not only for the sake of refactoring, because hey, I would like to do some refactoring, okay, because that's my lucky day. So in some cases, in a garden or a farm or whatever, you have some plants unwanted, but they have been brought by seeds with some birds, and they are destroying the whole garden because they take all the water, all the soil, and they don't leave your flowers to grow. So just like gardeners that they uproot, anything that's blocking, you have to remove your code. You don't have to be afraid or shy or to remove your code. We saw a nice presentation about Git statistics, and you see that in many projects, okay, you have almost equal number of lines removed and lines added. That's refactoring, okay? So you see that a living thing requires a lot of refactoring, restructuring. Sometimes you made a mistake and you have to move a bunch of flowers from this corner to this one because there's more sun and things like that. It's the same in software. You have to move a modular component from this side to another one, or a class that fits better to this package, to this namespace. Okay, it's more or less the same idea. The concept is continuous refactoring, but only for the sake of business value and maintainable code, not just doing refactoring because you don't have anything else to do. Yep, so the idea is that we throw away anything that is useless, okay, like withered flowers, or we have plants that are causing troubles, okay? If you have a really ugly, big class, throw it away, rewrite it. And we saw that in microservices, you can completely throw it and replace it with something else. It's the same in gardening, okay? Again, some nice spot here. If you treat your code as it's the last flower in the earth, okay, then you probably show your passion to your code and be more, proactive and, sorry? Okay, sorry. So you might be more proactive and write better code and clean code, so it will last forever. However, oops, this is a slide without any minion, I guess. You know this guy? It's Heraclitus. It's a Greek philosopher, and what he said some 1,000 years ago, it was that nothing changes. Sorry, nothing is permanent except change, which in Greek is tapantari. Everything flows, actually, it means in real translation. So again, agility, okay. And what does this how this is aligned with gardening? So in a garden, in a farm, you have so many external changes, environmental changes like rain, wind, cold. And if we go deeper in internal changes, okay, like we discussed before, trees and plants that are growing up without needing them. You have to be prepared to adapt to the change, okay? And in software, the external changes are pretty easy to imagine, okay? Customer needs, competitors, legal or law changes, so you have to adapt very quickly to protect your garden, which is your software system, okay? And internal changes are people leaving, or people are not motivated, or I don't know, whatever. It's causing problems inside the other company. So you can see the analogy again between gardens and systems. One more that I think it's pretty nice. Fault tolerance. Now, I'm going to compare again this one with engineering. Now, my house has walls that are not lined up, okay? So when I brought a carpenter to create, my doors, he had to fix these walls because they were like this, okay? They were not straight, which is fine, okay? Nothing's wrong. Although I had to pay more money to create my door case. Now, it's the same in bridges and other, engineering stuff. It's acceptable to have problems that are expected, okay? In software, as in gardening, this is not acceptable, okay? A single bug can destroy a whole garden, a whole system, and the whole company, okay? A single bug can be completely disastrous. So perfection in software is not the same as it should be in engineering. But in gardening, it should be. And again, like I told you, a bug can destroy almost everything in just one night, okay? So one more analogy and idea about comparing these two areas. And the last one is to find the business value in the things you do and to achieve this perfection. So what's the key idea and why we're writing software? Because you want to deliver what? A bug-free, definitely, and it should be also according to the requirements of the customer, okay? Fully covered by tests, any tests, unit integration, end-to-end functional unit tests, whatever you name it, okay? And well-designed feature. And if you see the analogy, bug-free means that hey, our flowers, our garden has no disease. Okay, great. It's fully covered by tests. Maybe it's somehow protected by future diseases, although unit tests will not, or tests in general, cannot cover everything, and is well designed. Okay, it's correctly irrigated, and something which is not here, it has a very UX design. Okay, a garden should be beautiful, and you should enjoy that. So one more thing that is missing here is providing a great, let's say, user experience or UI. Because nowadays, most of the startups, what they do, they provide a very nice front end, a very nice UI with some fancy features and fancy, description and layout, and they just provide a couple of features for a start, which is typical startup. So people and visitors and customers will get attracted by what they see for the first time, and then they dive into subscribing and testing some features. Okay, so again, all of this stuff, if you can combine them, we can provide the real business value that can attract customers. So, just to summarize about this, what we discussed so far, gardening is not a single practice, it's not a single attitude, or a skill, or a special knowledge. It's a combination of all this stuff, plus the passion that you have for software development. If you're not passionate, if you struggle every day with your job, with coding stuff, new stuff, well, maybe you can stand back for a while and rethink what you are doing wrong. Maybe you are not following at all, or you are, I don't know, you need to change something or find a different way. So many of and this passion also you should show it every day. Okay, it's like I told you, it's not one day work. Every day we're changing the software. Every code that you add in the system will affect many developers in the future, many clients from the first day that it's going to be deployed. So it's not that easy to throw some code without any consideration. So what do we need to do to become a gardener, or to at least follow the principles and the ideas that have been discussed so far? First of all, you need skills, and by skills, I don't mean only technical skills. Okay, the more skills that you have, the better, definitely. Okay, you can apply them to your projects. However, I mean also some soft skills. Okay, like patience, or like mentoring young people. Okay, so a combination of technical and soft skills can make a brilliant gardener. Okay, what else? Attitude. Well, that's a hard one. For me, attitude means that you can accept criticism. Okay, and for instance, the best example of that is code reviews. Okay, who wants your code to be code reviewed? I hate that. Okay, I'm struggling to accept comments from other people, because we all believe that our code is the best. Okay, and we don't accept comments from other people, especially if someone that is a junior developer tries to review your code. So accept criticism. It's an attitude. Be a mentor all the time, especially to young developers, and share your experience and your knowledge. That's why I'm here. Okay, I'm sharing something. It doesn't matter if you agree or not. I'm sharing something that I feel that it's working for me, and I'm trying to explain to you. That's the idea. Self-learner and continuous learner, and I guess that's why you are here, because you want to learn and expand your knowledge in some conferences. Okay, so attitude is something that really differentiates great developers than average developers. Best practices. It's not only to say that, hey, I'm doing Scrum or I'm doing XP, but we only try TDD. Doesn't matter. Okay. You have what I find best is don't label your agile methodology. Just find the practices that work for you and adopt them correctly. Okay, if you want to do TDD, do it correctly. If you want to do pair programming, do it correctly. Apply them, find which one works best for you, and don't label that I'm doing something that is called this one or another one. This is the hybrid agile that we call. But you need to master the best practices. There are so many best practices, okay, and it's quite easy to do that. And one of the key concepts that I forgot to mention earlier is polyglot. Okay, I think that the era that we were specialized in only one language that has gone and will not return. So, for instance, when you are a gardener, you know what kind of soil you have to use, how much water every flower needs, or how much sun, or what's the best season to plant it. It's the same in software. You have a problem to solve, and you're not using always Java because you know Java. There are some cases that .NET is better, or Node.js is better, or Ruby is better, whatever. If you know many programming languages, or at least you know many frameworks and how to use them, you can make the right choice will be reflected to the result of your efforts. And finally, there are plenty of tools. Okay, you cannot imagine, gardeners or farmers working with hands. Okay, probably you need your hands, but you need the right tools. Okay, and there's a plethora of tools out there. Not to mention about collaboration, automation, code quality tools, you name it. Okay, there are so many tools that can be used for all development teams, language agnostic, and that can make you really better developer. If you know how to use them productively, that's great. So, going back to the idea, you don't have to focus only on one of these aspects. Software gardeners are gathering all these sets of let's say, ideas, values, and we apply them. Okay, we apply them every day, following by our passion, and this passion is showing to our software development every day in every piece of code that we are adding. So, one last slide. It's a shameless slide. Okay, I will pass it quickly. That's my book, still in progress. If you want to read more, you can visit this page, and you can see what's the progress. So that's all about gardening. I hope that you like it, or you hate it, or whatever it's your feelings about that. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I'm happy to take any questions here, now, or later in the breaks. Thank you very much. So we got like plenty of time for questions. Okay, cool. If you feel it's okay to ask. Oh, definitely. Okay, how many of you now you feel that you are gardeners? Let me ask you. No. Okay, I failed. Okay, cool. Any questions? I'm happy to take any questions now if you have. Sure. I really like the flow you do, and I totally agree with that. But is there any mechanism that you can, like, for example, practice so your teammates are gonna become, eligible for criticism or not being so? Yeah. Well, this Scottish, I don't know, term. You can't teach old dogs new tricks. Okay, so I don't think there's a silver bullet, or it's easy for senior developers to accept easily criticism, or to accept people reviewing their code, or to do pair programming with a young guy. Although I think that they should changing this one, because new people, especially nowadays, new developers are so competent, they are so skilled, that they are much, much better than people like me, that I have 15 years of experience, but I don't have all these tools or this stuff that new people have. So what I recommend is that instead of being afraid of having your code review or doing pair programming with a new guy, with a young guy, you should change for that. You should try to get that. It will make you much better developer. Senior guys have the experience, probably. Okay, they can create some better design. Young people have better skills, usually. Okay, so that's my recommendation. There's no silver bullet. Okay, there are still people that will never accept to get their code reviewed or to have suggestions because they feel, hey, I'm the guy, the superhero, because I created this product 10 years ago, so I know everything, which is not good. Thanks a lot.